Hey, Adam.
Yo.
Will we ever hear drumming like this again?
No. Not for at least another 99 years, Peter. I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored today brought to you by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for all your jazz lesson needs. Peter, today we are honoring another great that we've lost.
Yes.
The great Roy Haynes.
Yes.
Maybe the best drummer of the past 99 years?
Well, you know, he's right up there in the conversation. This is Roy Haynes playing with the Bud Powell Trio on Inner Fires from 1952.
That's ridiculous.
So this is going back a little ways, right? Salt Peanuts, of course.
All of the tributes that I've seen on social media over the last 2 days honoring the great Mr. Haynes have really noted that, like, you'll see pictures of
Bass
him
drum.
playing with, like, Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
In, like, a black and white photo.
Yeah.
From way back in the day.
Yeah.
And then you'll see pictures of him playing with, like, Pat Metheny in 2006 or something.
Right.
And it's just like, how can one person span so much of incredible music? We've got videos of him here, like, when he's 86, sounding unbelievable. And then there's recordings like this when he's just a kid practically.
Yep.
Just sounding, I mean, this is like decades and decades of really, really high-level musicianship. I personally find it incredibly inspiring. Man.
It is. It sets the bar. Roy Haynes sets the bar. He's one of a select group of jazz musicians that lived well into their 90s.
Yeah.
That I think really set the bar as an inspiration for all of us. I mean, really beyond just musicians, you know, and artistry at that age, to be thinking on your feet, to be performing at a high level, to be
stylish AF.
Stylish AF. You know, humorous, to be with it, to be engaged with humanity, to be giving to humanity, right?
Well, I love it too because it kind of like goes against the old trope of, you know, we always honor these musicians that are gone too soon,
right?
Or they go out in a flame of, you know, creative energy or whatever. But like some of our favorites have longevity.
Exactly.
Roy Haynes, you know, Wayne Shorter was making this amazing music all the way up until the very end of a long life. Of course, it's always a sad day when they go, but I think this is a celebration of like one of the most amazing lives lived in the past 100 years.
Absolutely. And what we listened to on the way in was, as we said, Bud Powell Trio. That's actually Charlie Mingus on bass, which kind of puts things into perspective, you know, for Roy Haynes and when he, you know, came of age and his longevity and his contributions to the music. He was born in 1925. Do you ever think about do you remember 1925?
No, I don't.
1925 is a lot closer to WW1 than it is to WW2. That's one thing to think about.
Of course, yeah.
And which is closer than Vietnam War or any of the other things. Like, you know, I don't know why we're always comparing them to when wars were, but I mean, you
major
know,
events.
the 20s, the Roaring 20s, pre-Great Depression. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I guess we could verify that if we wanted, but yeah, it is. So Roy Haynes famously is from Boston, from the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston, which is a really interesting area. Still is today. Had a lot of creatives and intellectuals and famous folks. Malcolm X, in the autobiography of Malcolm X, probably gives the best portrait I've ever read about Roxbury and all the jazz music that he heard coming up there. But Roy's family was from, both his parents were from Barbados, the island of Barbados in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Oh, Rihanna in the house.
Is Rihanna from Barbados? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, and then, you know, I know there's other jazz musicians who have, you know, connections. Reuben Rogers, Ron Blake, you know, folks that I play with a lot that are from St. Thomas, St. Croix, from the Virgin Islands, but also Greg Hutchinson, whose parents were both from Trinidad.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting thing in terms of Roy Haynes' heritage. And then, you know, he played with, like, we're going to listen to some different examples, and this was definitely hard for me to come up, like, to sort of pin it down to just a few.
Dude, this show could be 5 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the more recorded musicians in history. He's played with everybody. It's going to be a good one.
So we're going to try to kind of hit on some different periods. But I mean, he came up playing when he first came to New York with Lester Young, Charlie Parker. Actually, do we have that picture of him with Charlie Parker? And I believe it's with Mingus, Thelonious. Yeah, look at that. So this is from
Good God.
I'm not sure what year it is, but look at Roy Haynes back there. So we can kind of compare. That's a
Monk on
young
piano.
Mingus, a young everybody, right? Yeah,
Amazing.
Monk at the upright piano.
That was.
But then also Roy Haynes played with Sarah Vaughan for quite a few years in the 50s when she was really, really at the peak of kind of doing her things. Was part of her regular
that
trio.
famous break. Roy Haynes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think what's interesting too, I'd love to get your take on this, and we're going to actually, the first example of this, we'll listen to this. Roy Haynes was a fantastic piano trio drummer. Oh, maybe the best ever. Can I throw that out there?
Mundo, yeah. Perhaps
he's in that group, like Vernel Fournier, of course, known for his work with the Ahmad Jamal Trio, but Roy Haynes, Tommy Flanagan, Hank Jones,
McCoy Tyner,
Chick Corea, Michelle Petrucciani, some wonderful stuff there.
He is one of these.
Monk, Phineas Newborn,
he's one of these musicians that can step into any situation. Like you said, whether it's backing Sarah Vaughan and doing the tasteful things that a drummer has to do when they're accompanying a singer.
Yeah.
Especially in that era.
Yep.
And then can step in with like McCoy and bash, or Train even.
Yes.
And bash, and then do like some incredible subtle things with Chick Corea. It's really, and then even later in life, like playing with Pat Metheny, it's just unbelievable. The scope that this musician can do, and all with like an incredible personality. It really reminds you as an artist,
on and off the bandstand.
Oh my God!
At the instrument and away from the instrument.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about this quote that Quincy Jones brought up. This video that's been going around, the passing of Quincy Jones as well. But that your music can never be. I forget who it was. A singer who told him this, I believe. But your music can never be. Who's
Rihanna?
Not Rihanna. Okay. Good guess. But
J. Cole.
Your music could never be more or less than who you are as a person, right? And Roy is another great reminder of that. That like, there's no barrier between off and on the bandstand. That your personality is your art.
Absolutely,
and it's a great reminder of that.
And I always like to think about it too as the levels of artistry and even the levels of technique and technical excellence that one would have on their instrument. So for Roy Haynes at the drums, like the higher level that you have in terms of technical expertise and artistic excellence, the closer the person and the player become, the person and the artist. Like the personality is able to be not only exemplified in specific things that they play, but just like holistically in their style. So like, in other words, you're hiring Roy Haynes, you're getting Roy Haynes, the person, the artist, the drummer, and they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's the highest level.
Well, we talked about this a little bit last week, that it's just like with Lou Donaldson, it's just like, you spend your early part as you're learning the music, just adding all this stuff on and mimicking the people that you love. And then you spend the rest of your life just trying to chisel away at stuff so that you're allowing yourself to come out as purely as possible, like who you are. And then you realize, well, I need to actually like work on that person so that's an interesting person so that I'm communicating my personality. And I think, again, no one typifies this better than someone like Roy Haynes, who's able to step into any situation, be totally themselves, and yet fit the situation really, really spectacularly every time.
Absolutely. So we heard 1952, 1953, with Bud Powell Trio. So, Roy's already 26, 27 years old at that time already. Still young, but when we look at and we listen and we hear from that period, he's already fully formed as Roy Haynes.
Yeah.
Like you're going to hear like some of those stylistic things, that bass drum sound, which was so unique, so copied by other drummers in terms of like the tuning and the resonance of it. But like he was fully formed in terms of his style. I think what made him unique as an artist was like hitting that level early. That's not necessarily that unique. A lot of these great artists hit it by their early 20s for sure, or even before. But then maintaining it, being able to take it to different situations from behind the drums, and later on as a leader often as well, but always sort of leading from the drums. Certainly when we talk about piano trios, we're going to kind of jump ahead a little bit to 1962.
Okay.
McCoy Tyner. Of course, and we'll get to that too. Chick Corea, I think he's mostly associated just because there was such a longevity of them playing together. Gesundheit, the silent sneeze of November.
This room has been making me sneeze all week. I don't know what's going on.
Gotcha.
something is in the air.
There's something sneezy.
Ugh.
Maybe it's my little kitty cat that I brought with me this week.
Why would you do that to us?
I have no idea. Okay, so this is McCoy Tyner Trio. This is one of my favorite early McCoy records. How did you refer to this? You said we were talking about this earlier. Like this is the period of like pre-fourthy.
Yeah.
Even though this is called Reaching Forth. So
I know. Yeah.
he's
This
right
is
at the
called
cusp
Reaching Forth, but it's not so fourthy.
It's
pre-fourthy.
It's so great. It's
There's fourthy elements. It's fourthy adjacent.
Yeah, it's fourthy adjacent, and it's definitely McCoy all the way. But there is a little bit of an early.
Oh, dude, I love this Impulse era of McCoy records so much.
Yeah.
I've listened to all these a million times.
So great. Some of the great trio records, like because McCoy is such an outsized influence on and integral parts of course, John Coltrane Quartet, that we think about him as a quartet pianist or whatever, but as a solo pianist, as a trio pianist.
I love him because they're not as precious as like the real McCoy or it's still him McCoy forming.
And it's a different sound on Impulse, and certainly with Roy Haynes instead of Elvin Jones.
Definitely.
But this is Have You Met Miss Jones from McCoy Tyner.
This is
Reaching
fantastic.
Forth. Henry Grimes on bass, McCoy Tyner.
Yeah, Henry Grimes.
On the drums, of course. That brushwork, come on.
It's greatest.
And the way he breaks it up.
Yeah, look how young McCoy is there in that photo.
Yeah. This is a great cover.
It is. All the Impulse covers, killing.
Sorry, can we go back and hear that
Impulse
break?
killing the cover and the branding.
The branding's great. Look at the color on the fonts.
That's just the inside baseball there.
Woo!
The double woo bird.
Roy Haynes may be the most woo-worthy drum break practitioner.
Yeah, so good.
That's some close miking on that snare. Producer Caleb is nodding in agreement. Oh no, he's just listening. He's nodding in agreement with the music. Sorry. Man, this consistency of the groove and then the choice of the booms, the accents. So that's 1962. That's Roy Haynes. I think, you really hear that direct line and we wonder how much Roy is part of that between Bud Powell and McCoy Tyner. Like the lineage from Bud Powell to, of course, Monk, who more like contemporaries and like influencing each other, but Bud Powell to Chick, McCoy, and Herbie. I mean, like that's an important thing. Of course, Wynton Kelly, Red Garland are right in there in between as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And again, can't recommend enough. All of you, check out those McCoy Tyner Impulse records. The Live at Newport one, we're going to do something later on that one because it's...
I've got it up here right now, actually.
But...
Oh, you're talking about the McCoy Live at Newport.
The McCoy Live at Newport, yeah.
Well, this is a good segue, actually, to what I was going to play next, which is just from a year later, 1963, John Coltrane Quartet, live at the Newport Jazz Festival
interesting.
with the classic quartet, but Roy Haynes stepping in for Elvin Jones. And, playing my favorite thing, something very much associated, of course, with Train, this iconic quartet. You think about nobody is replaceable or sub, like when we talk about first call subs, that's a hard quartet. But Roy Haynes, somehow he manages.
This is so good.
Yeah.
This is so good.
But it's a different way of playing with the piano with the McCoy Trio.
Yeah.
So different for Roy. Oh, that snare drum. you know,
it's got that Roy Haynes tightness.
It does.
To it, you know, like
Yeah.
it's tight and crisp. It's not like some kind of Elvin. I'm going to step in and just do
No.
Elvin.
But he
It's-
doesn't kill the vibe. He doesn't he does his thing and it's got that lilt and it's more like snare driven maybe than it is ride cymbal driven.
it's good.
It's really, really, really good. So that's 1963 live in Newport. Now, this is a record I think maybe I should have you introduce it because you love this record. Sue You. You love it. It's
Nobody actually sue us when we say, Peter says sue me a lot, but please don't. Okay, so the album that I'm to introduce, I assuming you're talking about Chick Corea's Now He Sings, Now He Sobs.
Ever heard of it? Yes.
Yes, it's one of my favorites. I'm going to sue you for that.
Don't sue me.
It's one of my favorites. This is Miroslav.
Yep.
Vitros on bass. It is Roy Haynes on the drums. And this to me is when, as a listener, when I discovered this album, I was like, besides just the overall vibe, right? And I actually discovered this record before I discovered any McCoy Tyner albums. So, because I was pretty young when I found this. And I had yet to discover like the real McCoy or any of those early Impulse McCoys. And so I've come to realize later that like this is like heavily influenced from McCoy, which is great that you played that earlier Reaching Force, because I think that's a direct thread that Roy is on that and then Roy is on this, because I feel like this album is influenced by, this is like Chick is obviously influenced by the McCoy sound. But this is when I was like, Roy Haynes can do anything.
Right.
Like this is so interesting, the way this is recorded, the way that they sound together, the crispness again of the snare drum.
Yep.
And the sort of like the snap crackleness of it,
Yep.
right? Just the poppiness of it. It isn't the same album without Roy Haynes.
Roy
As
Haynes'
like,
nickname, by the way, Snap Crackle.
I know.
Yeah.
And I know you don't love the piano sound on this, but the way that the mid,
I love the piano player.
the way that the high mids and the very high register on the piano are recorded in together with, of course, the bass sound, but mostly with the ride and the snare drum, to me makes this some kind of emotional roller coaster. And so maybe we could play The Matrix, the first track. This track we played lots on You'll Hear podcast, but it's called Matrix. It's an F blues, so keep that in mind. And here's where the blues starts here. But that's part of it.
Oh, the drum sound I love. The bass sound I love. Woo! Oh!
It's just everything.
Man, Roy and Chick are so dialed in, like, conversationally. Oh! Woo! Miroslav.
Doesn't get any better.
Yeah, the next chorus.
And I know, again, you're not a huge fan of that Blue Note piano stuff, but the way that it's hollowed out up there,
Yeah.
like Roy's ride cymbal is giving the piano an attack. The best part's about to come. Hold on. Don't leave me just yet.
There's some fourthy McCoy influence.
This line here. Roy swirling.
Yeah.
And
So
Apex Mountain of
was
the
right
solo.
there. Well, 2 minutes ago you said, "Can it get any better?" I said, "Yes, it will." Okay.
No, but you see what I'm talking about how the sound of the piano, like Roy's crisp, somewhat dominating
Yeah.
ride cymbal sound.
It's all up in there.
It is
And the
giving an
hi-hat.
attack to the piano.
Yes.
Like they are working together, and their time is so locked in together. It is like they must have high-fived the shit out of this session when they were done. Right? Could you imagine ending that and being like, cool?
What if they were like, should we do another one? They were like, no.
It's a special recording for sure.
It's fantastic. And I think, you know what's, and I never thought about this before, but so Roy Haynes was already like the OG old head elder statesman.
Yeah.
He's 43 years old here. Chick Corea's like 26, 27 years old or
It's
whatever.
also inspiring. I'm 45. It makes me feel like I can still make a contribution.
I know. Well, and this
not that I'm Roy Haynes, but like it's pretty again inspiring.
But would we say that like Roy, like I kind of postulated earlier that like he had his sound very early.
Yeah,
like I think like most, if not all great artists.
All the greats, yeah.
But like right around this period, like he really got to sort of the apex mountain of his influence on drummers. You know what I mean? Like the stuff before wasn't like, this is where it was like, and also Chick Corea too, even like if we look at the McCoy trio, I mean, 6 years earlier, 1962, that we listened to, like Roy Haynes, incredible trio drummer, but like the influence in terms of people copying him, it was maybe more like Elvin with Train. But now it's like, whoa, this is a whole nother way that goes all the way up to today of how to play as a trio. And of course, this trio did some great recordings for ECM, kept playing together for years, and really sort of set the standard and the influence for a lot of the great trios going forwards. I would say as much, if not more, than Bill Evans. In actuality, everyone always says like Bill Evans' trio influenced our generation of pianists the most for trio playing.
I think it just depends on the pianist.
Yeah.
You know, people have more or less influences, but I don't know. For me, this Chick Corea trio, incredibly influential.
Yeah.
And for everybody I know.
And this was just the beginning of it, I believe, right? Or right around the beginning of it. And it's very good. How
they're going to come back around too.
How would you,
those two.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Chick and Roy.
How would you rate the album cover?
I always wonder.
I know this is not an official, like.
Is that where they recorded the album?
Was that just a chick's house? Or
I was like, is that why everything sounds so dead? Is because of the shag carpeting?
It's because the Steinway's brown.
No, all I think about when I think about it is that that's a famous French painting with the guy with the red scarf in the back. It's in like every single French restaurant in St. Louis.
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Giant.
Is that Toulouse-Lautrec?
Toulouse-Lautrec. There's like a version of that guy. Like there was one at like Balabans and
Balabon, Le Balabon.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so
I think about restaurants when I see that cover.
I know, not the greatest, but one of Chick's greatest albums for sure. Okay, we're gonna jump forward a little bit because we've got like what the real kind of crux of what we want to do is to check out something that's actually from 2010. And this is from 2011, so we're going to go a little bit out of order. But I just sort of found this thing. I had never seen this, and I think it's so cool. If we could bring up the video on here. This is Roy Haynes in 2011 on the David Letterman show. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Next guest received earlier this year the Lifetime Achievement Award, a Grammy for his 6-decade career as one of the preeminent drummers in jazz, and his forthcoming record album due this fall is entitled Royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, along with the Fountain of Youth band, Roy Haynes.
That.
Roy, let's go.
Which he kept playing with Fountain of Youth until just a few years ago. Splam!
86 and playing his
86
ass
years
off.
old. Man, his hi-hat.
Man. And with like doing it with so much style too.
Jaleel Shaw
All of
on
it.
the saxophone.
And jacket.
Oh, man. Groove
Keep
head.
it going, man. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Good.
Woo! I mean, may we all be so lucky to be able to do that
86.
at 86.
The
I mean,
power.
may we be so lucky to do that at 46.
I know. But man, the power that he's playing with, but he's got the, look at that.
Woo.
Oh.
Wow.
Woo.
Effortless.
Woo. The touch.
Oh.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. The Fountain of Youth Band, everybody. Mr. Haynes. Great job. Good to have you here again, sir. Roy Haynes, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice. That's it. Come on, everybody.
I mean,
This is so joyful, man. This is perfect.
shout out David Letterman for that little piece of cultural.
Letterman's a drummer, you know, like Letterman loves drumming. There's whole compilations you can find on YouTube of just Letterman going nuts after band's performances.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, when he went off the air, like, he loved the Foo Fighters because it was like a band of drummers, essentially.
Right.
You know, and he loves like giving the drummer some after their performances on his show.
Well, I mean, and there's a couple of things that are just amazing about that. It's just a joyful musical performance, an incredible drum solo that Roy Haynes does, but it transcends so much of the, look at that old dude, he can still play. No. I mean, like, I think that's kind of apex mountain for everything. Well, actually, the next thing we're going to hear, which is from the same time period.
But it's not even about an old dude thing.
That's what I'm saying.
He's playing
Are you
some
listening to
real
that?
stuff. Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's the novelty of like, but notice Letterman didn't say his age, I don't think, or anything.
No.
And so I think most people that would see that would be like, oh, this guy's, I mean, you could easily be like, this 60-year-old, 60s, guys in his 60s can still play pretty good. But I would just say that like his, you know, his technique, which has always been off the charts. I mean, that's one of the things he's known for. But to be refined in a way to be able to play, it's very hard to just get up on these TV shows.
Yeah.
And it's like you're sitting around.
Well, he put
now
together-
play for 3.5 minutes.
Exactly right. He put together 3 minutes of fire for the audience.
Exactly.
And it was
That's-
entertaining. He ended with just stomping on the kick drum and
And the
standing
band's
up.
behind him. The monitors are weird, and it's like the lights are on.
He
you.
knows what he's doing.
It's not like at the end. That sounds like how a great drummer would sound at the end of a set at the Village Vanguard, where you've built up.
Yeah.
Not where you're like, play, guy, play
Yeah.
something. You know.
Totally.
So that makes it even more impressive. You know, to me, and
man.
interesting and
Again, just
entertaining.
nothing but inspiration.
Yeah.
Incredible. And shout out to the Fountain of Youth band. That's a great name for a band when you're in your 80s, is to hire a bunch of young cats to be your Fountain of Youth. Because I was thinking about this as I was watching that. Like, it's almost like, you know, for those of us who do it, jazz isn't even, I mean, it is an art form, but it's also kind of like a martial art. You know what I mean? That you have to stay
Right.
connected with. You have to like practice all the time.
Tell me, Sensei.
It's not like being a pop musician where you wrote all your songs when you're, you know, Bob Dylan when you're in your
Right.
20s and your early 30s, and then like now you're just kind of playing them again and again. Like to actually play Black American music at a high level and improvise at a high level, you have to, like a martial artist, you have to keep sparring with people.
Yeah.
And you have to spar with people who are younger than you. And it
you
really
have to
is.
enjoy it.
You have to
Because
bring.
you're not going to do it otherwise.
You're not going to do it otherwise. There has to be joy there. There has to be growth there. You have to be still practicing and trying to get better at things, or else you're just kind of dead in the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that's what I was thinking of as I was watching that. It's just like, it is a fountain of youth. Like the music is a fountain of youth.
Right.
Staying connected to it. So.
Right. Well, and then, so obviously longevity was a huge, do we have any of those older, more recent pictures of Roy Haynes? Because of course he's known, anytime you make it past 90 or really past 80 and you're still playing and stuff. And of course, This is just from a couple years ago. This was a pick that.
He really, towards the end of his life, he goes for this like Western, almost
so
like
good.
Ralph Lauren
He is.
look.
He's
You know what I
like-
mean?
Yeah, it's incredible. So he was known for his style. Famously, he was in what I believe was, I might be mistaken, well, it was definitely 1960, Esquire magazine, best dressed man in America.
Oh, 100%.
And with a very small group. It was like Fred Astaire, Miles Davis,
Yeah.
Clark Gable, and Cary Grant, and Roy Haynes. Now, Miles Davis, of course, was known to the general public and whatever. I don't think that Roy Haynes was known like Miles Davis and Clark Gable at that time. So that was a real insider pick, but known for his style. And I think that was the first year they did the best dressed.
And he keeps it up.
Yeah.
His whole life, into his 80s, into his 90s. Like, that jacket is bespoke. And
Yeah.
that not just like a stupid you'll hear it term, but like that's an actual bespoke jacket that
Can we
he's
see
wearing.
that? Do we have that other pick of him too? Perhaps. Or the same one's cool. Let's just bathe in the beauty of Roy Haynes' style here. And then I'm
The boot
shamed
collection,
by what
too.
I have on, man.
No, you look good. The boot collection is off the chain.
Look at the beard.
Beard is
Look
good.
at the beard.
Yeah.
Beard on point. And
I can't wait till my beard goes white. It's gonna look great.
giving jazz drummers, that have style, shouts out, but also giving vertically challenged bald gentlemen jazz musicians a little style too. Roy Haynes,
a little personal for you?
well, a little bit. I'm getting a little tear here. No, Roy Haynes famously not the tallest, not the shortest, but not the tallest. Did you know that?
That's great.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I got a chance to meet Roy Haynes a couple of times and hear him play live a few times, and it was special.
Yeah.
It was a special thing. So, okay, the last thing we're going to listen to, and this is by special request from you, I believe. This was, I believe, no, actually, no, I heard him since then. But this was a period where I heard Roy Haynes the most, actually, right around with the Freedom Band. What started out originally all the way back in the 90s, I believe, as the Bud Powell Tribute Band, of course, with Chick Corea, his longtime compatriot. But this is 2010, live at Marciac, Chick Corea, Kenny Garrett, Christian McBride, Roy Haynes.
So 2010, he's about.
He's
almost
85.
like the
yeah,
Letterman.
it's right around the
Yeah.
Letterman time. But this was like a full-on concert. But I saw him play a lot during this period. And, because I was a little younger, I was like, wow, even at that age, But this was also just one of the best bands from during that period. Chick Corea started putting, he always did, going back to
some great trios.
the original trios.
Yeah.
But also, like, he started putting together different theme bands. So I believe one of them, the Bud Powell Band, I guess, was Joshua Redman, but maybe it was with Kenny Garrett too. I can't remember. But Roy Haynes was there as well.
Yeah. 90s.
Yeah,
was when
90s,
that was
exactly.
Yeah.
Mid, late 90s. But this is from 2010, Christian McBride, as I said. And then we were looking through this, and this is actually, if we can pull up the video, this is the encore where they come back. The whole thing, we'll have a link to this. The whole concert's amazing. Marciac Jazz Festival, early August of 2010. But this is the encore when they came back out, Straight No Chaser, in F. Oh, with special guests sitting in as well on just this tune.
Chick.
Oh, come on, Chick.
Is that Roy Hargrove?
Yep.
Somebody give that sound tech a raise.
Okay, I hate to even do this, but we're going to jump up to, in the interest of time,
Man,
great.
it's amazing to hear Roy with this, and it's also, frankly, it's a real reminder of the precious gift of life, because we've now lost Roy Hargrove, Roy Haynes, and Chick Corea, and they passed away in like reverse order of their age.
That's
you know what I
right,
mean? Like, so
right.
it's not just this linear
Yeah.
thing. Life is. It's a real reminder to
Yeah,
take
and
every day.
look, Kenny Garrett and Christian McBride aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But let's also appreciate them. All these great artists. I mean, like I heard this band play a lot this year and the year prior, or the next year. I can't remember when they were touring again. A bunch live over in Europe in the summer, and it was like, man, that band was fire, as you can see here. And so to have this documentation of it. But Roy was like really the heart and soul of it. Like Chick Corea, like you could tell, like Chick Corea was so great at leading bands from behind, right? But he also like could sense that Roy Haynes was like the heart and soul and gave him that space to be that.
Let's be perfectly honest. Every dude on this stage is a great band leader.
Yeah,
in their
of
own
course.
right. Like some of the best band leaders in jazz right
Yes.
here. All of them.
Yes.
And so and when you do that, when you have experience with that, you kind of appreciate knowing what you have. And Chick, no one better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, look, Christian McBride is just like, he's the glue that's there. You know, like you can see it, you can feel it.
Yeah, Christian
But I just want to
McBride
jump.
is a gift to the music.
This is some cool stuff, just getting into kind of the really interactive stuff Roy Haynes and Chick Corea were known for, that telepathy.
so good.
Always a wry smile from Chick after the song.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, Chick and Roy had that playfulness. Oh, tasty.
It's so silly.
Next time I comp behind Christian, I'm gonna get busy like Chick is. My lines. See if I can get away with it. I feel like
See if you get a
that's
look.
gonna be good.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing Roy's doing. You know what I mean? Like just but they know Christian can take that and absorb it.
I mean, and also it's like, in case you were wondering who the best bass player in the world is, this will prove something to you.
Look what Roy's playing. Oh. That's some good snare technique right there.
But you know, they're playing a lot, but they're not overplaying.
No.
They're not stepping on anything. They're talking.
I'd be overplaying. I can hear myself overplaying.
No,
during
you'd
that.
be in there.
Yeah.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a great band. This was kind of an apex mountain for like 2000s jazz, I think.
For sure.
This band, this way of playing, this kind of leadership from every position, you know. I mean, this is the way an all-star band's supposed to be.
Yep.
Not this like jumbled mess. This is like, there's a cohesion of artistry here that's really, and Roy doing his thing. Oh. Well, Adam, I have to say, I think that they heard it, which makes me think that
You'll hear it.
all right, cool.
Nice. So you can probably edit